Welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast, and we are back, guys, with 1998. What a great year! And before we get started on that, Tom, Carrie Hilson just announced that she's pregnant. Victoria Monet just announced that she's pregnant. Cassie just announced she's pregnant. And wow. I don't know if you're the right person to be giving baby advice to, but what's your advice for anyone that's out there that's about to have a child?
That's that pandemic love, Ed, right?
I was going to tell you, these are these COVID babies. I know what that is.
All right. Well, Tom, do you want to start off with a couple of shout outs? Because I see a lot of people here commenting. I see Shaquille Perry in here. Wagner's in here.
I got to give out first of all, can I give a shout to real quick to someone who's not here tonight, but someone I want to give a shout to anyway, guys?
Sure.
Do you mind?
Do that.
I actually don't know his name.
Right.
But
it's going to be hard to shout him out.
But this guy hit us up on Twitter and said, man, much love to Tom, Ed, and Kyle. I'm looking forward to when the pandemic's over and you guys could all be in the same room to do the podcast again.
Nice.
Little does he know, we all live in different regions of the world.
Yeah.
Yes, the magic of social media, you could never tell. But I mean, it's all love. It all feels like one cohesive unit. So I actually think it's a compliment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But guys, let's focus here. 1998. What a year for us. And what we're also going to be doing, just like we did last week with our good friend Shaquille Perry, we're going to invite a couple of guests to come join us to talk about their top 3 albums of that year. But before we do that, let us recap the year for everyone out here. And Ed, you said that 1998 is one of, if not your favorite year of R&B.
My favorite year of music, period. I was just telling Tom before we got started, usually I'm the level-headed one. I'm the one keeping you two in check, especially you, Kyle. But tonight I will be a stan because there are so many of my all-time favorite albums that dropped in this year. This is the year that I was in college. I think it was going into my sophomore year, and I had the freedom. I had my car. I'm driving around, rocking a lot of these albums. Just so many great memories. And as you'll soon see, so much quality music. I feel like I've written about this before. You can check it out on Soul and Stereo. 1998 to me is one of the last blockbuster years of music for hip hop and R&B. Across the board, just incredible.
I mean, for me, I was, 14, I think, 15.
Wow.
So I was still pretty young. I mean, when you're that age, you can't really appreciate it. You're caught up in the moment. You hear something that sounds good. Maybe you can't relate to all the lyrics. I mean, Kyle, how old were you even?
1998, I was 8.
Damn.
I was about to say, I'm sure he was not 10 yet.
Ed was 33?
Oh, calm down. I was a good 18 or so doing my thing in college. More grown than you two.
Shaquille Perry was coming out of the womb that year. Crazy.
Yes.
Wow.
Damon was the size of a ham sandwich. So we got some youngins in the house, but they know their R&B.
That's respect.
Yeah. And guys, when I look at this list of albums that we have to talk about today, I don't even know if we're going to get to that, if we're going to be able to keep it to 1 hour like we normally do. Luckily, I found out Instagram Live actually lets you go for 4 hours now. I don't know if anyone else knew this, but
what does YouTube let you go for?
YouTube lets you go until you don't want to record anymore. So
shout out to our people tuned in on YouTube. Shout out to everyone tuned in on Instagram Live.
Yep. So, I mean, we got to get started, right? And I'm just looking at these albums. I'm looking at the debuts, and even the debuts are fire. But let's get started here. Last week we started with the fellas. This week, let's start with the ladies. Deborah Cox. Ed, I know you love Deborah Cox. Let's start there.
Yes, my baby mom's Deborah Cox. This album, and I'm going to say this a lot, so just get ready. To me, this is her best album, and of course, came out in 1998. She was coming off of incredible debut. This one raised the stakes, and some of her most memorable material comes from this one. So 1998 is just something in the water, and this album is one of her best. Well, to me, her best.
Love this album as well. Definitely her most, produced her most well-known songs, probably her biggest hits. Those dance hits, which was always a weird thing to me, like how she got into that lane. if that was her preferred lane or what happened, but she made her name for herself there too. So love this album.
And of course, we have the two big records on there. We Can't Be Friends with RL, as well as Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. And between the two of you, can one of you guys do the Nobody's Supposed to Be Here challenge? It's been blowing up on Instagram.
I will not be doing that because I'm not trying to make us lose watchers.
I don't even know what it is.
You don't?
True
it's
story.
like-
I don't go on the internet. True story.
No, that is a true story.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah. You're supposed to like sing that last part of Nobody's Supposed to Be Here when Deborah Cox is just going off. You got to be able to do that as well.
Okay.
No. You know it, but I don't know
Gotcha.
if you can do it.
Do it, Tom.
And shout out to Things Just Ain't the Same, which the original version wasn't on the album. I think it was on the soundtrack, but the
Money
remix
talks.
was. Yep.
And actually, I spoke to Shep Crawford last week, and he told me the lead single was supposed to be September, the record that Stevie J produced. That record is crazy too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little weird to think back and consider that's it, but that's a really good song. I like this over now. I thought that was a good single. It didn't, of course, blow up as much as others, but I mean, top to bottom, I'm not going to find any fault in this album.
Let's go to another album here. I'm just looking at my collage. Let's go with Faith Evans' second album. She had a monstrous debut. Second album, solid as well. A lot of great ballads on here. Lately I, the Diane Warren record. That's like one of the saddest songs of all time.
Oh,
if it's Diane Warren, she gonna get a tearjerker out of you, no question there. This is gonna be my one controversial point of the podcast. I like this record. I like it, but to me, it doesn't compare to the debut or the third album. I think she outdid herself both times. So when it came out in '98, I was a little disappointed because I love her debut so much, and it was just not as good as that. And even listening to it today, I'm like, this is really good, but it's just not great. But I'm not going to hate on it at all because it has some of my favorite Faith album cuts on it. Kelly Price was all over this album. We'll get to her later.
Yeah, I like it too. I loved it at the time. I remember buying it the first week it came out. Obviously, I loved All Night Long when it came out. Love Like This, obviously. Definitely the ballads, the interludes.
Yes.
So it's a great album. And one of my favorites this year, but we'll see if it ends up in my top 3.
Ooh. Caramel Kisses is on this album too, right?
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
It's a great song.
I had a friend who was obsessed with that song.
Don't forget Never Gonna Let You Go was a Babyface song.
Oh
right?
yes, that was a great song.
Yep.
Let's go with Whitney Houston. That was a great album that had the Dark Child record.
I'm just gonna drag all of those albums off this wall when we finish here and just listen to every one of them. It's not Whitney's best album, but it is my favorite Whitney album. Another one, top to bottom, I just love. I remember by '98, Whitney wasn't something that I was like really listening to a lot because, as Carmen I was talking about earlier, it was too much Rough Riding and Rockefeller and going on at that time. So I was all over that. But Whitney, there's something about this album that she was just able to adapt her sound to the times that worked so well. She had the Missy joints on it. She had like the Wyclef joints on it, which was big at the time. And I love that she was able to transition to the times without sounding off. Like this isn't the equivalent of when we hear our legends today, trapping. But this was a good transition and it worked so well. And it's my favorite personal Whitney album.
I see a lot of love for this album in the comments. Shaquille Perry, that's Whitney's best album. Same thing with Lawrence. He said the same. Surface 323, Whitney killed it. Nicolette Carney agrees with that. So people love this one. Damon said this is his favorite Whitney album.
I mean, you can't really say no to the Heartbreak Hotel record.
No, you can't.
That's an amazing
I wish we got
song.
more collaborations like that now. I mean, we just need that. We don't get it.
Agreed.
Well, you do. You got not Khalees. You got Kalani and Tiana kissing in the bathtub. Like that. What else do you want, Tom?
That's true.
Oh, man.
All right. Where do we go here? I guess we'll have to talk about Brandy and Monica.
Oh, you know we will, or we'll get kicked out of here.
Well, I'll start off with the Brandy album because I think to me, it's if it's not her best album, it's her second best album. I still think Aphrodisiac is really good, but this album was like crafted perfectly from the sequencing, the big singles, the transition from Brandy's debut to this one, her linking up with Darkchild. Like I think it was just a perfect marriage on this album.
Agreed. I think that this is her best album. I still don't like that May song. I don't care what y'all say in the Soul and Stereo Cypher. I don't like that song. But other than that, this is a pretty complete body of work. And this is another one where the album cuts are just as good. Well, actually, they're better than the singles. And I talk about this all the time when I review albums. And people are like, oh, you gave this album such a low score. The singles bop. 2 singles does not make a strong album, player. What I'm looking for are those album cuts, the consistency, going the sequencing, going left and right. That's what you got from this album.
Let me ask you this, Kyle, about this album. Well, I remember when I was younger, I felt like it was more poppy than some of her other stuff. And I thought this was where she was going to make that move to the pop lane full time and never turn back. But it seems like she didn't end up going that route after. I mean, how did you feel about that?
Well, it's funny because I just interviewed All for One yesterday, and some of those Diane Warren records, which were super big in '98, they didn't really necessarily transition over to the new millennium because at that point, by 2000, it had become very, very hip hop-ish, had that bounce to it. So I don't know if those Diane Warren records would have made it. And by 2000, isn't that when like Backstreet and NSYNC and Britney Spears really like started dominating the charts? So
absolutely,
unless Brandy moved over to that Max Martin sound, like I don't think that would have happened. But there was a period of time, I think right before Britney Spears popped off, like Brandy was the biggest thing in America.
And
a lot of that comments was due to Moesha as well. So you can't really discount that.
Yeah. I see a bunch of comments asking why Happy wasn't a single.
That's
I see a comment asking why I put that and everything wasn't a single.
That should have been a single.
Yeah.
I mean, Angel in the Skies wasn't an actual single, was it? Like that was just like, didn't it just get radio play and kind of blew up? So again, there's just so much great material. I'm sure they had a game plan of what they wanted to be singles, but every song that we've named, I like better than all the singles.
Agreed.
Yep. Now let's talk about Monica's album, which is weirdly enough titled "The Boy Is Mine."
Still weirds me out to this day.
Yeah, I thought it was a bad decision at the time. Still do. But I'll let you guys speak on it.
No, but beyond the title, the actual album is great. Again, one of her better albums. I don't think it's the best. I think her debut is still the best. But this one is probably her, from what I've seen on social media, if not her most beloved, one of her most beloved albums. Because it has the big singles on it. And it's really diverse in that it has the soulfulness of the debut, but still has a lot of kind of I don't want to call them urban records because that kind of gets on my nerves, but albums, records that are much more up tempo that she can kind of play around with, and I think resonated well on radio. So this was an album that helped get Monica to that next level and did not disappoint in that regard.
I see the comment from Lawrence that was Clive Davis's idea to name it after the single. Yeah, I mean, you could tell it was a label decision. It's just, and you could see why they did it to try to capitalize, but I of course, it felt kind of cheap. But regardless, I like this album too. You know, The First Night, love that song. Just that Jermaine Dupri knock. I just still listen to that one a lot. The sample I felt was flipped perfectly. Love that one.
And then, of course, you have Angel of Mine, which is like a classic record now. And the Space Jam song was on this album too, For You I Will. So great song and great album. Can we talk about some groups now?
Of course.
Let's start off by talking about Total. We love Total.
We love Total, and I love this album. You know, Total to me, sometimes y'all beat up on my girls too much. Y'all are like, oh, that so-and-so can't sing. Y'all complaining about people singing and then get mad at me when you're talking about these 2020 singers. Stop. Total knew their lane, and what they knew is they had a vibe, and they used the production to ride that. And that's why this album works so well. I am not a Mace fan, as I made clear earlier, but that song he has on this album, for whatever reason, to this day, I will just randomly just say his whole verse. It drives my wife crazy. I'll just like start spitting that joint. Love this album, and the singles are fun too.
When I look back at this album, it just reminds me of how cool Total was. They kind of went in a different direction of all the other girl groups. They were just so aggressive. Like Trippin', I remember when I first heard that, man, it just hit you in the face. That when Missy came on in the beginning, love that one. I love Sitting Home. Even the remix when Shine first came out, you know, and people were like, is that a Biggie? Like, who is that?
Yep.
And then, you know, there's some other gems on here. I like the song Rain as well. So I'm a Total fan.
Nice. It's crazy because we just talked about Faith's album. We're going to talk about 112's album later. Total. Like those albums, like Bad Boy was on a run at that point because they dropped like 1 week right after one another. And that's crazy to think about now, all on one label. So like Puff really had the game on lock.
Yeah,
I remember that so well because it was had to be October because it was around my birthday, and all these albums was just like blah blah blah. Happy birthday from Puff. He was hooking me up.
Another female group that dropped an album in 98 is Xscape, which happens to be their last album to date. Did you guys like this one?
Loved it. And it's another album that does not get the love that it deserves today. I don't think Xscape gets the love they deserve today because this was their last album. They well documented what was going on behind the scenes and they parted ways. And other than that EP a couple years ago, we really haven't had any other joint projects from them. And that's a shame because I've always said that Xscape went out on top, so to speak. They never fell off. Every album is solid. Every album is good. This is my favorite Xscape album. Probably not the best one, but it's definitely my favorite. And man, again, I keep talking about these album cuts. Y'all have not heard these albums we're talking about. Go check them out because beyond the singles, there's so much gems here.
I love our supporters and people tuning in.
No.
Our boy Lawrence asked, why wasn't Total on the Puff Daddy and the Family album that came out in 97? I would love to know that too.
That's a good question.
I'm sure we can dig that up. That is a great question because their debut came before 97. We'll speak to one of the members eventually. I think Pam is a little busy. We'll get to one of the others.
We'll ask. Can we talk about the fellas here?
All right.
Let's go with Montell Jordan. Let's Ride. Ed, that was a huge song. People forget Montell had hits.
We talked about this, I guess, on the last episode. Like Montell had hits. Montell had more than This Is How We Do It. And they wear this video out. Oh my gosh. Every time I turn on BET, he was walking down that little hallway or whatever was going on in that video. But yeah, this is yet another hit of the time. And Montell just proved that he was more than the one-hit wonder that we labeled him as. Because again, another successful record for him and as an album, another good one.
I think he had I Can Do That on this album as well, and that was a big hit as well.
Wow.
So
not slowing down.
Tom, do you want to talk about Maxwell? He dropped a big album that year.
This would be my controversial statement of the episode, his Embryo album. I didn't no, it's not I just never could get into this one. I was so obsessed with his debut album. Like this one to me was a bit left. And it's another one, Ed. I feel like I'm gonna have to keep struggling to try to figure it out. I mean, I'm curious to hear what the people in the comments think about the Embryo album. But Ed, what did you think?
Well, it's funny you mentioned this because not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago, on the Soul and Stereo site, I listened and reviewed and ranked his entire discography. And guess what came at number one? Embryo. And I'm with you too. For a long time, I could not get into this album because I preferred the sound of the debut. Yeah. And when you listen to it in 2020, it actually sounds like something that would come out in 2020. It sounds really, really fresh in a weird way. I think it was ahead of its time and it kind of took some folks off guard. It's not a very accessible album. So it's not one that you can just put on and just listen to. In some ways, it feels like one long song. But I really like it. I like the writing. I like the atmosphere. It's vibes without being boring. To me, it's his best work.
Ed.
But I know that could be controversial.
First of all, two things. First of all, number one, a 14-year-old Tom there was no way he was going to be able to figure out this Maxwell album. It was definitely too complex. So I'm going to revisit. Number 2, there's a comment in here from our best friend Shaquille Perry, who told you to stay off the weed. That's not Maxwell's
Stay off
best
the
album.
weed.
The
Wow.
weed. Calm down, player. But I mean, again, it's not something I'm gonna argue because even 18-year-old Ed was not feeling this album for real. I like Coco Cure. That was the only thing I liked. But listening to it today, I really have a greater appreciation for it, and I think it's very, very strong.
Kyle, are you sitting right next to the sun? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't have a light in this room, so I only have a lamp, and it's getting.
Yeah,
It looks like it's about to put on some embryo. Look at that move set. I feel you, Kyle.
Very aquatic.
Oh boy.
Oh, now I've lost focus here. Let's talk about Ed. It's time.
It's time.
Are you still in the game?
I'm still in the game, player. I am still in the game. I'm putting on my white
goodness.
Put on my giant shades and chain hanging down. My boy Keith.
Can we talk about this album? Isn't this your favorite album from Keith?
Oh, calm down. It ain't my favorite Keith album, but shout out
really?
to Derek Dunn. We discussed this on his podcast, The Lost Episode. This album, and overall in Keith's discography, I'd put it in the middle. It's a little underrated, but as a project, it's pretty okay. It holds up. It's got some, again, I keep going to the album cuts that are better than the actual singles. Not a bad release, but no, not my favorite Keith album by a long shot.
Can I bring up an album, Kyle? I don't know if you're going there on this episode or not. It has to be brought up, Kyle.
Are you talking about Kenny Lattimore?
No,
I guarantee you he's not talking about Kenny Lattimore.
Oh, okay,
I'm talking about a double album that may or may not be allowed to be spoken of.
Okay, now they can yell at you and not me. But go ahead.
Are you talking about the Prince of Darkness?
Listen, I just wanted to mention one thing about R. Kelly's album. We don't condone anything that he's done. We don't support him anymore. But I just thought it was a monumental moment when he dropped that double CD because it was pretty rare to me to see an R&B artist do that. And it had some hits and some jams. And I just remember that moment. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I'll just follow up on that and then we can move on before we get canceled. But I agree with Tom. It was different to have an R&B artist at the time because we were having a lot of hip hop artists that were dropping double albums.
Yeah. It
was kind of different to have an R&B artist do it. And I don't like a lot of double albums because it's too much. It's just like I get lost into it. It's too much filler. This didn't really have that. And it's one of his better albums. It's probably top 5 albums for me for him. So he did his thing. Still peas on people.
I mean, yeah, we don't, like I said, we don't support him anymore, but we just want to touch on history that happened with music.
Listen, we're going to get yelled at if we're going to get yelled at either way. If you mention him, we get yelled at. If we don't, it happens. So,
right. You're not wrong.
So the album came out in 1998. This cannot be disputed.
Correct. And it's good. That can't be disputed.
That's subjective.
Well, I ain't subjective over here. It's good.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a classic.
No, I didn't. No, I ain't go that far. I just said it was.
Well, what I'm going to do after this podcast, I'm going to go on Amazon.com. Do you guys remember back in the day looking at like reviews that people would write on Amazon?
Oh, no. Yes, I used to do that at work. Yes.
Those are the real reviews because those people actually bought the CD and wrote up a review. And a lot of times you would see reviews that were like 1 star and you're like, man, this album must suck. And then the write-up says, I didn't receive this package in pristine condition.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Oh, boy.
Amazon reviews used to be hilarious. Yes.
So shout outs to Amazon. Can we talk about, Kenny Lattimore dropped an album. And I mean, we have to go here now. And I've been waiting a long time for this one. Dru Hill and 112.
Dude, Kenny Lattimore gets one sentence and that's it. Damn, I feel so. We never touch on this guy, and all of a sudden,
hey man,
Kenny Lattimore dropped an album. Moving on.
I threw you a lob, and you mentioned the Prince of Darkness. Like, what do you want from me?
Oh, jeez.
No, this is actually a really good Kenny Lattimore album.
It is, and I mean, I'm sure I'm the only one here that's heard it in its completion. But like, it's a good album for sure. I mean. Not better than the 2 albums that Kyle wants to talk about a lot, but my boy Kenny, as I will always say, is one of the best voices in R&B of our generation. So that shines once again here on this album.
Listen, Kenny Lattimore probably in '98 would have appealed more to my parents, who would have been in their 40s, than a 14-year-old Tom. Am I incorrect by saying that?
I don't know. I can ride with a little Kenny, but again, I was 18. I was doing some things. So you're 14. You're listening to DJ Clue. It's a different, a little different.
Tom, let me put this to you, because this is actually an actual true fact. In the Michael Jordan documentary, Last Dance, there is a clip of Jordan on the bus with headphones on, and everyone started wondering what was he listening to, and it turns out he was listening to this Kenny Lattimore album.
Yes, because it was 9-8 and it was hot.
Did they win that game or lose that game?
I think they won the NBA championship that year, Tom.
Oh, that hyped him up?
I guess so.
Wow.
Kenny's voice will do it to you. It gives you superpowers. Yeah,
I'm going to have to check it out.
All right. Well, here's two albums I know all of us have checked out. 112's sophomore album, Dru Hill's sophomore album. I'm actually curious to see how you guys rank these later on in your top three, but let's start with 112 here, because I would say the debut was quite ballad heavy. This wasn't as ballad heavy. This had that true bad boy sound to it, Tom.
I have to share this story for those who haven't heard it yet. Maybe I haven't shared this on the podcast, but I was interviewing Mike of 112, and I told him how I was a 112 fan, and Room 112 was my favorite album back when I was younger. I told him my AOL screen name was something like TL Room 112, and he got this weird look on his face, like he was so embarrassed for me. It looked like he wanted to jump out of the interview. And luckily we're still cool because Mike is a good dude, but that's a true story, guys. That was my screen name. But yeah,
I love that story. It always cracks me up.
At least I'm man enough to share it, guys. All right.
No, I'm not mad. Be real with it.
But this album was one of the ones that really brought me into that R&B space. I just loved it, and so many songs I hear I still will listen to. And except for Your Letter, that's probably the saddest song you could ever find.
Guess who wrote that song?
Oh.
Yeah. Boy, she is the queen of sorrow today.
Now, Funny Feelings on this album, if you guys know that one, is another one I can't listen to. It's just, these songs are too sad.
Funny Feelings I can listen to a little bit more than Your Letter. But
yeah,
to piggyback off of Tom, I mean, you're right. This album, to me, my favorite 112 album, one of my favorite groups ever. And I love the progression because I love the debut. But it is really ballad heavy, and I like ballads, so that works for me. And this was more of a mix. It had the up tempo bad boy stuff, but it still had the slow jam. So to me, this is, when I think of 112 at their peak, this is the definitive 112 album. To me, their best album.
Did you consider this one a classic? Either of you guys?
No, I think that would be their debut.
Ed, I thought you were on record as their first three were classics.
Well, I definitely think it's 5 stars. But
bring back the tape.
Well, no, I mean, I probably said that. But, I have differentiated. There's a difference between classic and 5 stars.
What?
And
are you kidding me?
We've talked about this before. To me, a classic is defined by longevity and legacy. 5 stars is just what you rate it at the moment. But anyway. This is a 5-star album to me. Classic, it feels like it. It feels like it. Of all of theirs, it would probably lean most toward being classic status.
Well, I'll say this. Love You Like I Did is an amazing song. Same with Nevermind.
Love that song.
Amazing
it's like the same song, but they're both amazing.
Which one? Yes. What are the same?
Nevermind.
Oh.
It's like the same song.
Nevermind is nothing like.
I don't think it's the same song.
It's the same song. I could listen to both, and I would we should play a game one day where we blindfold me, and then you play both records, and you tell me which one is which. I'll be able.
Oh my goodness, we blindfold.
All right, Tom. I know Peaches and Cream and Dance with Me haven't aged very well for you. Has Anywhere?
Better, I'd say, than those two you named. Yeah, definitely, I'd say. So has Love Me, which I didn't really consider just for that moment. I still love that song too, although I never hear it on the radio as like a throwback, which is interesting, I guess.
Interesting.
But yeah.
They sure wore it out in Virginia in '98, but I always hated peaches and cream, so
Yeah.
be done with that.
Mm.
Reminds me of oatmeal.
Oh my goodness.
Tom loves oatmeal.
I do actually. Plain oatmeal.
Oh, good old Tom. Flavorless Tom.
All right, Dru Hill's second album, which I don't know if I like it more than their first. I think their first is slightly better.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the one with the huge hits.
And I'm sure the comments will yell at us because I have heard, especially in the Cypher, that most people prefer the second album. I'm with you. I prefer the debut.
But
yeah, it's easy for me. Debut.
But this album has the best Dru Hill song of all time, Beauty. So that by itself.
No, quite. I mean, again, this one is more maybe 4.5 stars instead of 5, but I love this one a lot. And again, maybe the definitive Dru Hill album.
Here's my critique of this one. If they would have just chopped a few of the songs off, it probably would have been a 5-star album for me. It just was a little too long for me. And that's
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the issue.
We talk about sad Diane Warren songs. What about What Do I Do with Love? Isn't that like the saddest song of all time?
How many saddest songs of all time you got? We got a lot of them in '98. But yeah, that was one of the songs that could probably go. Well sung. It's not a terrible song, but definitely not one I revisit a lot.
Beauty remix is better, said Shaquille Perry. Was Case on that?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
Yeah. But not a big part. I never really figured out what Case did on the song. Background vocals?
I never heard the remix that much. Even like when it came out in VA, they were still playing the original. I heard the remix like 2 or 3 times.
So I think that concludes the albums that came out from people that weren't rookies. Am I missing anything right now? I'm just quickly taking a look here. No, I think we could.
Can I name a couple soundtracks actually?
Yes.
Please do.
We had a Dr. Dolittle soundtrack.
Ooh,
yes, sir.
With the Aaliyah record.
With the Aaliyah record with the baby in the background.
Yep.
Man, that's my favorite Aaliyah song, guys.
That's an amazing song.
It's my favorite.
Yep.
Shaquille, what's your favorite Aaliyah song? Chime in. I got to mention the Rush Hour soundtrack, which also came out this year.
Yep.
I got to mention the Jermaine Dupri 12 Soulful Nights of Christmas, which is the most slept on R&B holiday album of all time.
I totally forgot about that.
Your boy Kenny Lattimore has a song in there. Don't worry. I got to mention Tim's Bio album that came out.
Tim's Bio, yes, sir. I have been on a Timbaland album fix lately. I
just want to mention the R&B tracks on there, like Keep It Real with Genuine, like John Blaze with Aaliyah.
Yep.
Those two. And then one last one. Ed's Boy dropped an album this year. TQ, West Side.
TQ? The only thing I remember about that album is the album cover.
Okay.
It's like a
West
gigantic
Side, that was
Q.
huge.
Yeah,
West Side was
huge.
huge.
The Q was huge. I'll give it that.
All right. That's it, Kyle.
I've got one more album to shout out here. Shout outs to our YouTube lovers that asked us to mention this one. Mariah Carey's number 1, that album, which includes the great Jermaine Dupri record, Sweetheart.
Wow. That's an amazing song, actually. I love that. Another Jermaine Dupri knock that I can't get enough of.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was also on his solo album as well, which I wore out in '98.
Yes, Life in what is it? 14 something?
1492, 1492, something like that.
He was actually in here.
1472.
Jermaine Dupri checked in here. I'm not sure if he's still in here, but
he's probably
let's
shaking.
Get it right.
He's probably shaking his head right
We're
now.
sorry,
he's
Jermaine.
like, get my album name right, player. I think it's 1472.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm getting yelled at. Birthday by Playa was on that Timbaland album, Tom. See,
That's true
Birthday
too.
by Playa is a great song, but it's dated, right, Kyle? You know why?
Because they talk about VCRs.
Yes, exactly.
Leave him alone. This was '98. We were all about the VCRs. We weren't talking about Netflix and chilling.
Oh boy.
Next episode we'll talk about Blockbuster Video, but let's talk about rookies right now.
All right.
What a rookie class. Can I name a couple here?
I'm gonna lose my mind over these rookies, but go ahead.
All right, we've got the lovely Maya, the very awesome Tyrese Gibson, the amazing Tamia, We've got Sparkle. We've got Playa. We got Nicole Ray. We got Ed's favorite artist of all time, Kelly Price. That debut Ed still loves. We have Divine, who actually just followed us on Instagram the other day.
There you go.
At least we know they're alive. Tatiana Ali. I know a lot of people love her. You might know her from The Fresh Prince. Link. That's my guy.
My dude, Link.
And am I missing anyone? I think that's it for now. Oh, and Lauryn Hill. Do we count her as a... I guess we count that as a rookie, even though she had great success with the Fugees.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess we can count it as a solo debut.
She's been
around for 10 years.
Do you guys consider her to be an R&B artist? Like, this album is incredible. I'm gonna just put that out of the way because it's probably one of the best albums in the last 30 years. And it's definitely a classic. But do you guys look at her as a full R&B artist?
Here's the thing, and it's so funny today because of the labels we put on artists. Literally 2 weeks ago, I saw someone saying the same argument about hip hop. It was like, this album isn't a hip hop album, but then you go to R&B fans, and they say, oh, it's not an R&B album. It's both. Like, it's not one or the other, and that's cool. Like, if you listen to Missy Elliott's albums, they aren't one or the other. They're both. And I'm okay with today Anderson .Paak. Another artist is like half and half.
Yeah.
If it's done well, cool. But because the R&B tracks here are so good, that's why it's worthy of discussion here.
Kyle, I was told you forgot Destiny's Child's debut album.
That's true. I did forget
that. Oh, yeah.
I forgot it on the collage, too. I'm not sure why that happened. But yes, Destiny's Child as well. We cannot
Hater.
Oh, God.
Hey, you were the one slandering the writings on the wall last week.
I mean, I don't know Destiny's Child debut album, if we're keeping it real. I've never heard it in my life.
Oh, geez.
You actually would like this one, Tom. This one's very good.
All right. And you forgot one other album. And if anyone in the comments who's tuned in knows this one, Miss Jones, The Other Woman. Now, this has some gems on it.
Miss Jones.
Man, she is a radio host who kind of went down in shame. But this album is legit.
Why did she go down in shame?
I forgot she was up there with you guys. But yeah, I know all about Miss Jones.
We're not going to go there, Kyle.
No.
Okay.
No. I'll tell you offline, Kyle.
All right. Well, let's talk about these albums, these debut albums. Let's start off with Destiny's Child, just in case I forget again. But they had the Wyclef record. I mean, this album might not be talked about a lot, but it was just a straight up R&B album, and they sounded great on it.
You know, I'm going to say this, and you can direct your hate to Edward Bowser in the DMs on the IG.
Oh, no.
You can just hit me on ET Bowser. I'm not dissing Destiny's Child, but I'll say this because I really like this album. I have noticed when we consider this album, Tom and I were talking about Jay-Z's 1998 album a little bit earlier. I feel like a lot of albums that came out pre-2000 for artists that kind of have been headliners in the past 10, 15 years get really pushed aside, and people don't really give them the love and support. And I know it's because younger fans just haven't heard them. But I think this album is really good, and compared to a lot of Beyonce solo stuff, this stuff is right up there with it. But because it didn't come out in the hot period where it was trending on Twitter, doesn't get the love that I feel like it deserves. That one definitely falls in that category.
No, part 1 is better than part 2.
Way better, player.
Yeah.
If you're mad, stay mad. Way better.
All right. Moving on. Let's talk about another album here. Man, there's just so many we can talk about. Can we talk about Tamia's debut album, Ed? Is Nicolette in here? Because we were trying to get her on here, but this debut album is 5 stars.
I don't know if my girl is here, but if she's not here.
I saw her here earlier.
Oh, she's here. Oh, don't get in trouble. I know she's at work. Don't get fired because of us, player. But yes, you want to talk about another 5-star album?
Hold on, Ed. Nicolette, next time pull a Shaquille Perry and just hide out in the bathroom and tune in and call in.
Please don't get caught talking to yourself in the bathroom stall. But to me, it's debut, another album that is not discussed enough. Another album to me that is 5 stars, a almost flawless debut. One that I still rock regularly today. And I remember at the time, this album wasn't even that hyped up. She had the single Imagination with Jermaine Dupri. Y'all go check out that video. I love that creepy video that they had for that song. But when I liked the single and I liked her voice, so when I got the album, I was blown away because it was so much better than I expected. And I didn't expect it to be terrible, but I didn't expect it to turn into one of my favorite albums ever. But this is how you make a statement as I debut. Love this one.
Tom, So Into You. Is it better than the Childish Gambino version?
What?
Oh God. Oh my. Can we just shut this whole show up right now? And
Please
I'm about to flip the whole desk over. My goodness.
No, group might fall. We got to protect him.
Yeah. No one's even chimed in the comments about my Groot. He's got his picks coming up too, guys. All right. He's chilling.
Boy.
But anyway.
All his picks are I Am Groot.
You Put a Move on My Heart. I know it came out a couple years prior to this album. It was on the album, but man, I just remember hearing Tamia for the first time. True talent, amazing vocalist, still one of my favorites. And my favorite album of hers right here.
You know what's crazy? And I just learned this recently, but the record, This Time It's Love, you know that song, right, Ed, on the album?
Yeah.
That song is like huge in Asia for some reason.
Wow.
Really?
Like massive in Asia.
That always fascinates me when there's a song that over here is so, okay, but then you just learn across seas that it's just like these incredible songs. My boy Damon tells me all the time about these songs that are just like off the chain in the UK, and I'm like, for real? We were sleeping on that.
What else should we talk about here? Let's talk about Maya. This is actually a very solid debut, Tom. A lot of great records. The Cisco collaboration, Baby It's Yours. There's a lot of great
There's some great album cuts on here too.
Yeah.
This is a really good album. I don't think this one's nearly celebrated enough. And this was also the year where she had her appearance on the Rugrats soundtrack, Take Me There with Blackstreet and Mace, which I also love.
Yep.
But man, this might be my favorite Maya album, front to back. It's a gem. We just interviewed her recently. Check that out if you haven't seen it. And Ed, did you like this one?
I haven't heard this one in forever. I
Really?
remember liking it at the time, and I know that many people have asked for a ranking of her catalog, so I'll get to that soon, probably in the new year. But I remember really liking this. I really like the singles, and I do, to Tom's point, I remember really liking some of the album cuts as well. So I think it's a pretty solid one. I can't wait to go check that one out again.
And
I hated the Rugrats song though.
Oh
What?
man, that was a great song.
I was too old. My brother-in-law and that crew, like they still play that song today, and they danced around like that 4, like that song. They were like in a crib. Like, y'all too old. Get out the crib.
Oh,
I see
some comments here. I want to check these comments real quick. Tar Heels fan Dustin M. They both love Baby It's Yours also. I wanted to mention that. So that wasn't even a single, and people still love it. That's pretty cool.
Tom, I want to interrupt you because I've made a new saddest song of all time. For my number one.
Every 10 minutes it changes.
We're gonna go with the Maya record. If you died, I wouldn't cry because you never loved me anyway.
Oh. Shout out to Lawrence. He likes that one.
Shout outs to Nokia for writing that one. That is the saddest song of all time.
Nokia was on one with that one.
It doesn't get sadder than that. Like Ed, we needed love letters on that too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That feature's coming back, Ed.
We'll have to bring that back because that one I can go all day for, just for that one song.
Man.
Don't put the Rugrats song up there.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Ed, can we talk about Kelly Price's album? This is
finally.
This is a spectacular shout outs to the Pretty Ricky reference, but a spectacular album.
No.
Spectacular got other issues going on right now. So give that boy a break. But yes, if you know me, this is no surprise. This album to this day is still my favorite album. Not R&B album, not hip hop album, not gospel album, not Christmas album. My favorite album of all time is this debut. This is an album where is no skips for me. I will play it from front to back. And I was just so enamored with Kelly at the time because I knew of her as a background singer. And I remember when Friend of Mine came out, I've told the story before. I heard it on the radio and I was like, this woman is incredible. Who is this? And me and my friend, this is before Google. You can just Google crap like you can now. We went to get the single from the radio store. And so we could see who this mysterious woman was. And the cover was a K and a P and just some sunglasses sitting on it. So we still didn't even know. It was like her 1998. It was this mysterious woman.
Yeah.
And we did not see who she was. until later on. And we learned why later on, why that was kind of done that way. But to me, Kelly, and I still think is one of the most lost opportunities of our generation. I said in 98, I was like, this woman will be the Aretha Franklin of our generation.
Yeah.
She is that incredible.
Agreed.
Didn't quite work out like that, but vocally, she is still untouched.
Shout out to Kelly Price. We love Kelly Price. She shows love to us. But Ed, she definitely was barefoot when recording this album, wasn't she?
Oh yes, their shoes were thrown way off.
Oh boy,
wet running down the cheek.
Well, this next artist, I'm not sure if his shoes were off, but his shirt was definitely off. Can we talk about Tyrese Gibson?
Man,
yes, his shirt was off. Yes,
straight out of the Coca-Cola commercial, straight to the studio. He releases an amazing record called Sweet Lady, written by Jonte Austin, produced by Troy Taylor. That song, guys, is a classic.
Absolutely a classic. And I love this album. A lot of people don't remember he had so much buzz as the guy on the bus in the Coke commercial. Like that's what they called him, like around school and college, or when I think I was probably still in high school when that dropped. It was probably senior year. But man, it was just so much hype going into it, and he lived up to it. And he went on to have a gigantic career, not just in music, but in film as well. So your boy Kyle, it all started here, and this is my personal favorite Tyrese album. I don't think it's his best, but it's my personal favorite.
You know what I remember about Tyrese from back then? He was an MTV VJ. Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
I remember that. That was a thing.
Yep.
No. And a lot of people don't remember, but Tyrese's first single was actually Nobody Else. Isn't that the record where he's rapping, Ed?
Oh, yes. I'm from Watts Badum Ghetto. I remember that very well. We were like, dude, where's this accent coming from?
I see this comment here. Torian281. Jonte was like 15 when he wrote that, which is pretty incredible. Do you guys remember where you were when you were like 15? I definitely wasn't writing hit songs.
No,
I was probably playing Chrono Trigger or something. I was not
Chrono Trigger. Wow.
Yes. Oh, shout out my boy Lawrence Derry. Yes, I Can't Go On. It's a sad song, but that's my favorite Tyrese joint from that album too.
Yep, great song. And shout out to the song Lately. That's a great song too. Let's talk about a couple more albums here. Wow, we're only halfway through these rookie albums. That's how good this year was. But we got to talk about them Playa Boys. Cheers to you.
Them Playa Boys.
This song, this album probably sold like 5 copies, but people still talk about it today. Like that's crazy.
It's one of those albums that was so ahead of its time. I mean, between the three of us, we can talk all day about the impact of Static Major, the underrated Black, the underrated Smokey. We are just huge fans of all three. And I remember when I heard the single, like Don't Stop the Music, which doesn't sound like really the sound of the actual album, but I really like that song. And I knew, y'all know me, I was a big Timbaland Missy stan. So I had to get that because I knew they were part of the collective. They had done some stuff on the Timbaland and Magoo album, so I was familiar with them. But the album blew me away because it was, to me, I can't call it new soul because it sounds like neo soul. It's not neo soul, but it was a kind of like a modern evolution of where I thought R&B would be going. Yeah, because it was very soulful, but it just sounded so new and fresh and relatable to me. Another one of my favorite albums of all time.
I gotta say, when we're discussing a lot of these albums, like for example, Faith Evans' album, I can honestly say it sounds dated. Some of the songs on there at this point in 2020. This Play album does not sound dated to me, and we're 22 years later. Yep. Much credit to Timbaland for that, but also the group's vision. And I got to show so much love for that. Incredible album.
The only song I will throw off that album, guys.
Yes.
Don't say it, because I know you're going to say it. Say it.
Really? The Foxy Brown song?
Yep.
Out.
That's out.
That's out.
No, it's not out.
That doesn't even
really
sound like
her
Playa.
verse, but well, I know because it came. I can't remember the story. Was it from a soundtrack?
Yeah,
or
it was from a soundtrack. Yep.
But I like that song. It doesn't sound like their sound. Yes, I agree with that. And I don't really like her verse, but I like that song.
Ed, I would take Gospel Interlude 10 times out of 10 over that song.
I will keep both for the record.
All right.
Now, Ed, we're gonna do another love letters about the song One Man Woman from this album. There's a line in there that we need some clarification on.
Oh boy, yeah, we have to do that one. Shout out to your girl Aaliyah because she was on that one. I
love that song though.
I do too. I love it.
And not too far away from Playa is Nicole Ray, Make It Hot. They had a couple of joints on that album. Make It Hot, of course.
Look at Ed. Look at Ed. Cool him off.
Playa, I'm gonna have to get up out of this. I'm about to get hot.
That Nicole Ray album, Ed, you love this album. This is one of your favorites
Oh
too.
my, I love this episode because y'all always get on me for hating everything. Ed hates everything. He likes nothing. I love everything on this episode. And this album, once again, I've said it like 10 times, another of my favorite albums of all time. I love Nicole. She's, of course, from the VA clique. She grew up in my area. We went to the same school. We didn't know each other though. But so I had that hometown connection with her. So when I heard that she was coming out, I'm like, okay, cool. I love Make It Hot. I copped the album the first day. And man, that album to this day, 22 years later, I still rock it all the time from front to back. It's so fun. I love the collaborations that she did with Lil Mo, Missy, a lot of Player on there doing a lot of writing and arranging for that. And it just fits her sound so well. Another one is just pure nostalgia for me. It's not a perfect album by any means. I actually reviewed it a couple months ago as kind of like a retro review, which I don't really do, but I just had so much to say about it. It's not perfect, but it's pure nostalgia for your boy.
It's crazy. We're talking about 1998. We haven't even celebrated, Missy for having an album or anything, but man, her impact was huge back then on this album. She was on the Playa album. She was on the Total album. I mean, she was everywhere. And I don't even feel like this part of her discography even gets the appreciation it should. I mean, everyone calls her an icon and a legend, which she is, but man, there's so much more that she has had an impact on that doesn't even get noticed at this time. But man, this album, love her impact on this one. It's grown on me over the years.
Yeah.
Eyes Better Not Wander, Raise Your Frown, I love. Testing Our Love, I love.
Yep.
So man, love it.
I just think it goes back to my point. Like once you hit that late 90s stuff, I just don't feel like that the artists who we celebrate today, their work in the late 90s, it really laid the foundation for them to be the big artists in the 2000s. We don't give them the love that they deserve. You never hear about the great records that Missy produced in this era, and you should, because that's what made her Missy.
On a side note, did we ever find out where Mocha is, the rapper on Make It Hot?
Actually, yes, someone did find Mocha on the cipher, and I'm blanking where she is. Somebody found Mocha. She's still here. She's still with us. I can't remember what though.
For about 10 years, we tried to find Magoo, and then Kyle finally did a few years ago. So that was an accomplishment. That was one of our biggest accomplishments, Kyle.
That was a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah,
yes.
that was on my to-do list, and we did it. Shout out to Nicole Ray, still doing her thing as Lady Ray. So go check out her music.
Yes, my girl.
I knew we wouldn't be able to get this all condensed into an hour, so we're just going to keep on going until this cuts off.
Oh God.
A couple more albums here that I want to talk about. Sparkle, which was produced by the man that we shall not talk about. She had a big album, and I got to talk about Link as well, because that's an album. That's one of those slept on albums as well. And can we talk about Divine? Because I feel like Divine, like they dropped one big song, it was a #1 hit, and then they just vanished.
Yes, that Divine record just was big at the time. I have the actual single that was a thing back in the day, and I got the single. It's around here somewhere. And they were another that I just thought would be, we had big things coming. Didn't quite work out, but that was that one-hit wonder. Now, I mean, you want to talk about Montell, this is a one-hit wonder if you want to talk about that. But it was deserved. It was a good song.
Actually,
what label were they on? Does anyone remember?
I don't remember.
No,
I'll look it up. Don't worry about it.
No, but Ed, I think Divine actually had 2 hits.
What was the second hit?
One More Try. Wait, that's the cover of the George Michael song, I think.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't know.
I had to look that up.
Yeah, it was a big hit.
Really?
Yeah, number 29 on the Billboard 100. That's pretty good. Shaquille Perry wanted us to talk about Lauryn Hill again. I thought we did.
Well, we can again. I mean, I think that this is a 5-star release, and one thing that annoys me about Lauryn with some younger fans, and I know you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And I think today Lauryn is just like the crazy old lady that shows up late and only had one album, and ha ha ha. Look, players, this album is one of the best albums of its era, and I think that it deserves all the love it gets. And unfortunately, because of the drama or whatever, some misunderstandings in some cases, she doesn't get the love that she deserves as an artist, because when it comes to vocally, and her peak, vocally and lyrically as a rapper, she was the total package. And she's everything that y'all square Drake is, except actually that. So she gets love from me always. I don't care. She never makes another album. She's got 2 5-star albums if you count the Fugees' last album. So I'm not hating on that.
Ed was handing out 5 stars to everything back then.
Well, it was banging back then. Wait till you see my list of this year's albums.
Wow. Well, what I'll say about this Lauryn Hill album is it's crazy. Everyone has a different favorite song. Like, I love Nothing Even Matters. A lot of people love X Factor, and a lot of people love, man, everyone loves everything on this album. So this is a big album, and very, 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 very celebrated. So there you go, Shaquille Perry. We talked about the album. I want to give a quick shout out to Tatiana Ali. She had that Daydreaming record that a lot of people love. Ed, did you see her as a star? Because she had that big thing with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith is on this album as well. Like, could you see the potential?
Yeah, I mean, at the time we thought she was gonna be. I mean, the precedent was already set with Brandy, because people forget that Brandy, before Moesha, she was on Thea. She was on that show, and this was Fresh Prince was way more successful than that. Arguably, you could say Fresh Prince was more successful than Moesha. She had a huge platform, and she was able to carry that over. And that, I like that single. I don't remember much about the album itself. I'm sure I heard it later on. I never bought it, but just didn't quite work out for her. But back in '98, we had every opportunity to think that she was going to blow up next.
So there you go. So we're gonna start doing our countdown here. I think we invited a couple people, so you guys can definitely hop on now. Brandon and Derek, Damon done.
Is this like Royal Rumble or Survivor Series? How does this work now? With all these people coming in?
Yeah, you guys. It's Royal Rumble. Their number got called.
Just hop on. But
play Damon's music.
While we're getting started here, as we look at our favorite 3 albums, Tom, can you just tell us some that didn't make the cut for you?
Well, there was a name I wanted to mention who we didn't mention. I'll bring him up. A rookie, Rel, made his first appearance on the Streets Is Watching soundtrack. Ed,
man, listen, tell them about that, because y'all don't understand. We thought that Rel was gonna be a big deal. I mean, what was the song? Love for Free? Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh my god. We were like, all right, he's next up. And he did a whole lot of features, and we didn't really get that complete body of work we expected from him. Yeah. But he had a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm. Who else? We got them on here?
No, they're not on. So we're gonna have to get started on this top 3.
Are they in the chat? Hold on.
They're in here.
I saw them earlier. I don't know where they are now.
Don't get nervous now.
We might have to get Shaquille back on here. Where's I saw Damon in here.
Yeah, but it's probably like 3 a.m. at Damon's time. He probably fell asleep.
Wait, the Royal Rumble. I see Brandon O'Sullivan coming in.
Theo Sullivan, Brandon. Are you there?
Theo Sullivan.
Look, player, that man is not Theo.
All right, we're getting Brandon connected now.
There's my boy.
Theo? Okay. What's up, man?
Yeah. What's going on, Brandon?
How's it going, y'all?
I gotta tell you, man, we thought your name was Theo Sullivan Brandon.
Well, yeah, that's my Instagram username, but it's Brandon O'Sullivan. It's switched, yeah.
It's the Brandon O'Sullivan. These dudes gave you a whole name. They were like, we're bringing on Theo. I was like, who is Theo? There's no Theo. Like, you know Theo. I'm like, I don't know Theo. Damon says he needs the code thingy.
Did you send him the link?
No, I didn't send him. I thought you would send him the link.
Oh, I guess I'll send him the link.
Just drop the code. Just drop the link in the Instagram.
What are we just having?
Oh my gosh, we'll have 70 people on this thing.
All right, well let's get started on this top 3 while I try to get Damon in here. Brandon,
hold on, well, just get him in here. Give Brandon a chance to recap '98 for him. Where were you? What do you remember most about the year? Get Damon out here in the meantime.
I was born in '99, but
What?
I do. Yeah,
These babies,
told
man.
you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I told you guys like probably back in the 2006 podcast when you were talking about it. But I do recognize '98 as like probably the top tiers of R&B. It's the great year of R&B.
Wow.
Sonically, it was great. And as a producer, I appreciate a lot of the work that came out.
Dope.
So you're a producer? Are you making trap music? Like what's the situation here?
Yeah, I mean, I did retired trap beats a little bit, more so the R&B.
Wow.
But also, I'm not big on R&B trap like that because, unfortunately, that's what's popular nowadays.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it is.
All right, is Damon, 5-second countdown.
I can't even find him on Instagram.
Hold on, I can send them the link.
All right, you do that. So let's just get started because I think we're probably losing followers at this point. Tom, do you want to get started? Your number 3 favorite album of 1998.
Are we doing rookie? Or do we do that still?
Oh yeah, I guess we do. Who was your rookie of the year?
Wait, so hold on. If a rookie,
they can be both.
Can they be in the top 3 also? I'm gonna do it.
Of course.
All right, I'm gonna not pick a rookie who's in my top 3. So I'm gonna go with. And I'm not gonna count Lauryn Hill as a rookie either. I just can't. I'm picking Maya as my favorite rookie just because I love that album. Still listen to it the most, probably out of most of these other ones. So for me personally, that's what I'm going with, Maya's debut.
All right. What about for you, Brandon? Who's your rookie of the year in 1998?
If I had to pick, it would be Kelly Price.
Ooh.
Like, I really love her debut. I mean, nothing that tops her debut. It is one of my personal favorite R&B albums. And yeah, I'll pick Kelly Price.
Ed, well, first of all, did you get Damon in here?
Damon's got the link. He should be joining us soon.
Who's your rookie?
I mean, y'all know my answer. I'm piggybacking off of everything that young Theo said, since y'all done gave him that. Kelly is but it's so crazy because you can pick like so many, but I have to go with Kelly here. I would be betraying her if not. But Nicole Ray, she's right behind us. She's like on her tail.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one for me because, I mean, I think Tamia is my choice, but then I also love Tyrese. I'm going to go with Tamia because I'm Canadian and she's Canadian.
Oh, wow. Great reasoning behind that one.
Yeah.
I know, such xenophobia. But, I mean, it's a great album, so I can't hate on that.
Xenophobia.
That's like when Ed shows love to every Southern artist.
Oh, my God.
First of all, I only show love to the VA artists. Get it right.
I don't know. Trey Songz isn't exactly behaving these days, Ed.
No, we're not in COVID land.
No, not with that.
We love Trey, though.
Stay tuned to the Player Please Awards. That's all I got to say for that one.
All right.
Damon?
Is Damon coming in here?
I sent him the link and he liked it, so he's alive.
Tom, who does Groot have as the rookie of the year?
Groot. Hold on, let me put him to the mic here. I am Groot. That's
my
it.
God. That translated into Nicole Ray. I can speak Groot.
I think so, actually. I agree.
I'm going to say that because Damon is not here. Oh, I see him now. Because I was going to... Okay, we'll add Damon in here as well. This is a party, guys.
Yes, we got the whole crew.
Oh, man, he looks like he's 15.
Oh, hello.
Don't do that.
Hey, Damon, you gotta flip your camera.
Oh, like this. Okay.
There you go.
It's my boy. It's my R&B son.
Or actually, Damon, can you flip it back?
No.
Like
No, his...
It's
No.
good. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good,
okay,
it's good.
now
You're
you're
good.
good.
Okay.
all right, I'm just gonna throw it like that.
All
Wait,
right.
Damon, how old are you?
I'm currently 15.
Wow.
Ed, we're running a daycare center here.
Listen,
We have a bunch of babies in
15,
here.
but the most knowledgeable dude with the Barry White voice. Can't sleep on my boy.
15.
This
Wow.
is
This
wow,
is
man.
amazing right now.
I love it. I love it.
Are we discussing
R&B is
Bryson
still
Tiller
alive.
next? What's going on?
No.
Never that.
Damon
Never
might,
that.
guys, Damon might be the rookie of the year. 15. Sheesh.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Damon, who is your rookie of the year?
Oh, well, Lauren doesn't count, so no. Actually, to be fair, it just puts on the spot. I'm like, because Lauren doesn't count. Lauren's like kind of a cop out, but
If you want to say Lauren, you can say Lauren. We'll call it a cop
Yeah.
out, but
yeah,
you
Lauren's the
can-
only one that comes to mind. I mean, obviously that album's like massive, like it was then, still probably now. And was it like she went on a Grammy sweep as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
she got like a 90 Grammys off of this.
It's saying.
All right. All right. So we got that out of the way. And now we can
Mhm.
get into our top 3 favorite albums of 1998. Tom, who is number 3?
These
There's a
could
lot.
all be number one for
There's
me.
there's
but
a lot here.
Yeah.
These could all be number one. Number
Very
3 is
difficult.
Tamia for me. It's one I still listen to front to back. Love that album. Easily could have been my number 1, but it's my number 3. Love Tamia.
What about you, Ed?
I'm going to keep it real on this one. I'm going to have 2 lists because I'm going to have Stan Ed list and I'm going to have Soul and Stereo Ed list. So we can have
Wow.
2 differentiating viewpoints because I can't leave out my favorites. So Soul and Stereo Ed says number 3 is Room 112. Ed says it's Player because I got to show my boys love.
Mm.
Yeah.
Brandon, what about you?
This is difficult because it's 98. I would agree with Tom in terms of Tamia, but I'll go with Room 112 as my number 3 pick. I feel like as a sophomore album, it's very diverse as compared to the first album, which was more, more of an introduction, more ballad heavy, but there were a lot of songs that I really come back to, like the one with Faith Evans for a while. I really love that song. Someone to Hold, I really love that one as well. Crazy Over You.
Yep.
And of course, Your Letter, which is like the closing song, and it is very sad as well.
Very sad.
But
Saddest song.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, really love the album.
Damon?
Right, this hasn't been mentioned tonight. Ed will probably know this one. It's the Why Do Fools Fall in Love soundtrack. That's
Wow.
Wow.
I love
What?
it.
Yeah.
Sleeper.
like Missy Timberland all over that one. The Destiny's Child Get on the Bus song.
Get on
Got
the
the Total
bus.
song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that
These are
count?
the sleeper hits.
Does that count as a number 3? I guess
I'm
it
counting
does.
it.
I
I'm
guess.
I'll
counting
kill
it.
it too.
All right. Well,
That's a great pick.
that is a good
Yeah,
pick.
it is a great
I
pick.
did not expect that.
I love that
My
one
number
too.
3 will be Playa Cheers to You as well. Those are my guys. I love that album. I can't really think of a flaw on that album, but I think there's just 2 albums that to me are better than that one. So, but it's close. That could easily be number 1. If it was 2020, it would definitely be number 1. But
Oh, please. If it was
1990
2020, it would be number 1 and everything else would be number 38. Like it wouldn't be close.
all right, so Playa is my.
Can I give a shout out real quick
Yeah.
to Damon's parents because his parents are getting shouted out for raising him right in the Instagram chat by Nancy Noir.
Wait, do they
And
listen to
Nicolette
R&B,
Carney.
Damon?
Well, my mom like listens to like the hits, and then I was like, oh, I recognize that, and then just kind of went off on my own.
Oh,
I've only been
yes.
listening to like R&B for like the last year and a half or something like that.
Wow.
So
What the
Year
heck?
and a half and this much knowledge. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
All right. Wow. Number 2, Tom.
It's got to be Playa Cheers to You.
Mm.
I'm getting screamed at in the chat by Shaquille. If we don't put this one on the list, we're gonna get yelled at and lose a follower.
Calm down, Shaquille. It's coming.
He'll be
I
back.
said earlier. I said earlier why I love this one, but yeah, still play it. Still sounds fresh.
What about you, Ed?
Soul and Stereo Ed says number 2 is my girl, Kelly Price. That's Soul and Stereo Ed.
Sure.
But Real Ed says Nicole Ray has to come in at number 2.
Brandon?
This one it will be a little controversial. For number two, I actually have to go with Embryo by Maxwell.
Wow.
Like,
I'm riding with you.
And with that album, yes, it is very left field. But to me, I always go back to it more so because of the production. I really love the production a lot here. It's especially with him teaming up with Stuart Matthewman of Sade to create a soundscape of this album. Yeah, it's really good. And sure, and there are some song titles like Ever Wanting. Is that one of the titles? Because some of these song titles remind me of Music Soul Child anyway, but I cannot deny that. Yeah. So I cannot deny
song titles.
Yeah, so I cannot deny some of the influences it had with this one, especially with the younger cast like The Weeknd and Frank Ocean and Miguel, for example. But I really love this album. My favorite Maxwell album.
Nice.
I'm with you.
Damon?
Kyle, I feel like the guests we brought into the show are smarter than me. I mean, I'm getting nervous here. They're more knowledgeable and insightful. Am I being replaced, guys?
Yeah.
No,
I don't know,
not.
player.
This is how it
Might
happens.
come back. Damon will be in that chair.
You're not being replaced.
Hey man, he's white. You're white. I think we'll be good.
Oh,
people won't even know.
Oh, we won't even know.
God.
All right, Damon. Anyway, what's your number two?
Number two, personal favorite of mine. It's Tamia's debut. I mean, Zero Skips.
Yep.
Just amazing.
That's my number two as well. I'm going with Tamia. It's so close to number one. So close. I almost want to put it at number one, but I can't because my allegiance and my loyalty goes towards one vocal Bible. But
Oh God.
Oh boy.
but my number two is Tamia. Tom?
I think you guys know my number one. Taking it back to my AOL Instant Messenger days. Yo, room 112 in the house. That's my number one right there. Sorry, Mike, man. Don't be weirded out. It's all love.
Oh.
Ed?
All right, so I've got to do my two things. I mean, before I hit the number one, it's just crazy because I know people are going to yell at us because we left off, I don't know, Whitney and Xscape and Deborah and you mentioned like Tamia and Brandy, and it's just like Maxwell. There's so much good stuff this year. I feel crazy just doing three, but gotta do three. My number one, if I was Soul and Stereo, Ed, it would be Lauryn Hill without question. But my favorite, as you all know, is Miss Kelly Price. Gotta go with my girl.
There you go.
Pick. Brandon?
I co-sign with Ed. Undoubtedly, Kelly Price will be my number one pick. With her debut is incredible. I mean, the closest thing she almost topped with is her album Priceless, which probably came out in 03. But I really love her debut so much. Like, it's well crafted, it's melodic, it's memorable, and it's perfectly delivered. Like, there's not a single flaw in this album. Like, I can listen to it from the back and just be like, oh my God, this woman is something special. She's vocally gifted.
Yep.
Brandon be known.
Yep. It seems like Ed just brought a guest on here who would agree with everything he says. I don't know. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I think so. Brandon, can you give me can you give me your best Ed impression? Can you say "play it, please"?
Like, play it, please.
There you go. There you go. All right, Damon. I think I know who your number one is.
I know Damon's number one, but hit us with it, player.
But hold on, Damon. Before you answer that, I need to know because you've been doing your research. Do you know who the artist Link is? No idea.
No idea.
So he has actually a very good album that came out in 1998. And I don't know.
Homework.
You need to do your homework because you're young. So this lyric might scare you a little bit, but he has a song that has the lyrics "hit you with a 69."
Oh no.
That's a great song.
Player.
Kyle.
No. Stop corrupting the children. But
All right.
Damon, I'll hook you up with some Link songs.
That Link song.
Yes, I was gonna say, you know Lil Kim, you good.
Link is good. But who is your number one?
Well, on my version of the album, I can't spell her name right, but Nicole Ray, Make It Hot. I mean,
That's your number one?
What the heck?
I wouldn't argue with that.
No, of course it's
Wow.
number one.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Ed brought his crew on here. because no one ever agrees with him. He felt lonely. Damn, this is what we end up with.
Listen, I got my son and my boy, and we rolling. 3-on-2, finally.
Yeah.
Wow, Nicole Ray has your number. And I love that album, but never in my life did I think anyone other than Ed would say that.
Well,
Wow.
now
Top
you
5
got 2.
favorites.
Wow.
Justice for Lady Ray.
Yes,
I don't even know if
Justice.
I don't even think Nicole Ray would have her album at number 1.
Well,
We love Nicole Ray.
she's a humble lady. She's from Portsmouth, Virginia. We're all humble, just salt of the earth people.
Man. All right. Sorry. My bad, guys. I'll calm down.
So is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're number 1.
So my number 1 album will have to go to the Vocal Bible, otherwise known as Brandy Norwood, otherwise known as At Forever Brandy, otherwise known as Moesha. This album is pretty amazing. It has the record Angel in Disguise. Ed, I know Ed and Tom, I know you love that song, and I think I could speak for Brandon and Damon as well. That is like a
great song.
Top one of one amazing songs of all time. Shout
out to Joe.
Joe was featured, so I'm gonna have to go with Brandy.
Cool.
So I think that's it for this week when it comes to the countdown. But I mean, before we get out of here, I'll give you guys an opportunity to plug whatever you have going on. Damon, what time is it over there right now?
Oh no.
Like 2:15.
Oh, that's when you're 15, you can do that. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
All right, Damon, what do you have to plug for yourself?
Not really much. I'm just trying to do revision. That's all I've got in life for now.
Awesome.
Wow.
Brandon, what do you have going on?
Not really much going on. Spending time with the family as usual. We still live in a pandemic, as people seem to forget. Yeah.
Remind them.
Yeah. And not much really going on. Enjoying the family. And please stay safe. Like, this pandemic isn't a joke. It's not going away anytime soon.
That's true. Ed, what's going on with soulandstereo.com?
Everything is going on with soulandstereo.com. Shout out to Damon, who is a big member of the Cypher. If you are on Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, it's the only reason to get on Facebook. Go check us out. Just put Soul and Stereo Cypher in the bar. And we can have these conversations all day, every day, even 2:15 where Damon is. But on the site, we have your boy, Shaquille Perry, stopped by to talk about Aaliyah. I had a head-to-head with him about Aaliyah. That actually was very, very fiery on the social medias this week. So check that out. We asked the question, should she be considered an R&B legend? You know, we kept it real. So go read that. Also, we have finally the top 50 Christmas songs voted on by Soul and Stereo readers. And that came out very, very good. So if you need your playlist right, go check that out. And I will make this public because that way it'll force me to do it. By the time we have our next podcast, the top 50 R&B and hip hop albums of the year from Soul and Stereo, I will have that published. The list is done. I just got to finish formatting it. So hopefully by next week, the top 50 albums of the year will be up. Get ready to yell at me, Brandy fans.
Will there be more hip hop? Will there be more hip hop albums or R&B albums on that list?
Player, what do you think?
I bet hip hop, because there's not a lot of good R&B this year. There are some.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hey, we can't be saying that on this R&B podcast.
R&B, but it's
there will be R&B albums, but not as many hip hop albums.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, over at I Got Soul, you and I have done a ton of interviews, and I'll let you name some in a bit. But also, we've been working on our top songs of the year, like we do every year. So stay tuned for that. Tom will be responsible for putting the playlists together on Spotify. I'm tasking him with that right now. He doesn't even know it. But what else? Who did we interview this week?
Dude, I can't even remember. You interviewed a few.
Yeah.
This is all old news because I'm reading these Instagram comments. They're already debating 97. I almost feel like they want to just go right in. We're not going to do that. We need a rest. Me and Ed are old. I don't know about these babies on with us, but shout out to Lawrence, Nancy Noir, Nicolette, Shaquille, Tar Heel fan, Montrez Jones. Those are some of the ones I see rocking with us till the end here. Obviously Brandon and Damon for being on here with us. We appreciate you. I'm just looking forward to putting out our year-end list for songs on the
Yep.
site. We know we collaborate with Ed on that. No one really knew who we had for number one, so it'll be interesting to see
Yep.
when we put it out.
Awesome. And before we get out of here, I want to first off thank Damon and Brandon for joining us.
Thank you.
Ed, Tom,
Oh,
you know what it is. But before we get out of here, let's do a poll here to end this off.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Raise your hand if you think Keisha Cole is going to win the versus battle.
Oh my God.
Just
She's
Brandon?
not gonna win, but she should win.
Raise your hand if you think Ashanti is going to win the versus battle.
based
I
on
feel like
hits,
there's-
not quality.
I feel,
Based off hits.
Right. Thank you, Damon. He spoke truth.
I feel like there's a chance Ashanti could screw it up for herself and end up losing, but I think she should win.
All right.
Depends on the order.
It's all about the order, but
Yeah.
if we're talking actual quality, it ain't no contest.
And the deep
But it's a
cuts,
hit
too.
battle. It's
Mhm.
not a quality battle.
That's true. All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. We actually went an hour and 30 minutes. That's actually pretty impressive. But
Wow.
I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week with 1997. I think we have a special guest lined up for that as well. And we'll be back, guys. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Stay safe and go listen to that Ashanti Christmas album.
Oh God.
Peace.
What I won't be doing